Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys my first shroom ceremonial trip and how it went, how it changed my life, and how I felt the happiest that I've ever felt ever in my life. Welcome back, beautiful souls, to the channel. I'm Chica, your conscious mentor, and today we're going to be deep diving into my ceremonial plant medicine shroom trip and how it went, what I saw, what I felt, how I felt unconditional love that I've never felt in my life ever. And how that love actually helped me expand my heart chakra. So many benefits that I got from the power of plants. And this is something that I want to share a little bit more here on my channel with you guys because it is something that I am so pro for. There's so much knowledge. So I'm going to come from a space again from my space. Obviously, like I said, I am not condoning it. This is up to your decision. I'm just talking out of experience. But at the same time, I am so excited to share with you guys this experience. So go get some snacks, go get some tea, go relax. We're gonna sit down, have a chit chat with me. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up, like and subscribe with those notification bells. It helps a lot and I truly appreciate it. And I do 3 or more videos every single week. And today's subscriber of the day is Emily. Thank you so much for being part of this family. I'm so grateful for you guys. And if you feel called to do more energy work, shadow work, don't forget to apply for the conscious mentoring down below, as well as DM me on Instagram if you want a card reading. Let's get into the video. Okay, so I needed to get a little bit comfortable. So first and foremost is I did this ceremony in intention to connect with my conscious self, but most importantly to release a lot of ancestral karmic things that were coming through again and again. And I was just like, universe wants me to heal this. It's time for me to heal. The great thing about psilocybin that I have learned and researched, and again, I'm talking from my own research from it, there's so much knowledge in plants. And if you haven't watched the documentary Fungi, which talks about different types of mushrooms, it is such a beautiful documentary. I would highly suggest going and check it out. I don't believe it's on Netflix, at least not here, but go check it out. I think you can rent it here on YouTube. It's amazing. But it really talks about the knowledge of fungi and mushrooms. And psilocybin has been told to help a lot of people. If you guys have heard of Dennis McKenna or Trent McKenna, you know they are literally the scholars of this space where they started to talk about the knowledge of this energy. And one of the biggest things they talk about is how shrooms can really help people with depression, anxiety, PTSD, past veterans. There's so much knowledge in this space where it can really teach us so many lessons from so many dimensions within ourselves. And it continuously, you see the effects. I have seen my perspective has prolonged even beyond this trip. So that's kind of more about what it is. You guys can go do your research on what psilocybin and all that is, but essentially it is, it creates an activation of the creative mind. It opens up your creative mind or that part of the brain, and it also allows you to deepen that connection through various, I guess you can say, connections within yourself through this psychedelic. So it's a very powerful energy. Now that you know this, let's kind of talk about the ceremony. So I first started my ceremony, my dosage, because I know a lot of you guys might ask how much you do. So for me, I've microdosed before. I've used psilocybin before. Like it's not something that I haven't been exposed to. So just be mindful that when you are doing this, that you are doing it based on your experience. So I wouldn't suggest doing too much. Some people suggest between 1.5 to 2.5 if it's your first time doing a ceremony. For me, I did almost 4. So I almost did the heroic dose, which if you know Terrence McKenna, go research him. He talks about this. And the reason why I wanted to do almost that point was because I wanted just enough control that if I felt like it was too intense, I can step away from the energy. So that was my intention of using just below the heroic dose. Now, when I started the intention, how did I take it? For me, I did it in ginger tea. So I did it in the morning. I didn't eat anything. And the reason why is because I really wanted to connect with the medicine and I didn't want to have that like feeling nausea or whatever. I wanted to really connect with me on an empty stomach. Prior to, I just ate really healthy the day before to prepare myself for the intention. I started my ritual on, like I would say at like 7 a.m. I think 6:30. That was when I started. I steeped the tea, and then I put the shrooms in there and steeped it for about 3 to 5 minutes. And then after I was done that, I put in my space, I put in my space area. I made sure that there was nothing distracting me. So one thing I got research from was making sure there were no like big objects. Make sure it's a clear space. It was pitch black. That's kind of the way that I wanted to do it, so I can really be with myself in that intention. And I had my yoga mat, I had some coloring markers and a pencil if I had things that came through, and just a very cozy space. And it was very, very helpful to do that. Now, I did have a sitter. A sitter is someone that is nearby that doesn't necessarily interfere with your experience, but if you need something or whatnot, you have that person there. I'd really highly suggest, if you do decide to do your experience, to have a sitter, because it really helped me. It helped me like connect with myself. It helped me just like know that if something were there, I can have someone there that can comfort me, that I trust. So that was a really big thing. So then it starts. I sip my tea and I'm laying on my my yoga mat with my blanket on, and I'm cozy. And for me, I did it like in my birthday suit because I really wanted to just connect with my body, and people do suggest doing that. So I did it in my birthday suit, and I laid down there and I just sipped my tea, and then I set intention. Did I have music? Yes, I did. I suggest doing music that does not have words in it because, I don't know, I just feel like you don't want to get tripped out. What is that voice and all that stuff? People did say that, so I didn't do voice, but I did have one that I made that was about 4 hours long, and it was all like just like shamanic music and ecstatic music as well that didn't have any words but felt good to me. So I wanted to set that vibe, that intention. You can do it without music if you'd like, but for me, I did music. So I laid down, and after 10 minutes, I was like, okay, nothing's happening. What's going on? Maybe it wasn't enough, da da da. And then maybe almost like, I want to say 18 minutes in, it felt like 18 minutes in, I just like, it like hit me. And I was like, wow, okay, this is really happening. How did I notice it hit me? It felt like the walls were kind of like coming inwards. But in a nice way, and it was kind of wavy. Like you get these, and the thing about shrooms is that you go in and out. Like it's not a full thing. It's like sometimes you feel like you're in, sometimes you feel like you're not. And then when I started my session, I just felt this sense of like feeling my body and just wanting to dance and everything. And then it changed. The energy shifted. It went from dancing to then releasing and mourning for a part of me. And that's when I knew it was starting. Now, on that book that I had, I did have my intentions written down. So then if I felt like I was going into a place, I can bring myself back, you know? I started to see speckles of colors around the space, and it was just so beautiful. But the first thing I noticed was I felt the sense that I was a mother, and this was my past life that I was experiencing. I was feeling like I was a mother, but I lost many kids. So I felt this like huge agony in my sacral chakra. And to me, this was a big thing because if you guys don't know, I have endometriosis. So the moment I felt that, I was like, oh my gosh, this endo is related to something that I'm holding in my soul, which I already knew, but it was like, I knew now why, you know. I had multiple miscarriages in past lives, and by doing that, because those parts of me didn't release it at that time, didn't know how to release it, it was all being manifested into this health issue. And this is something that I tell you guys all the time, like a lot of our energy can be held within our body without us knowing it, and can turn into health issues. So when that happened, I started holding my arms, like cradling a baby and crying. And I kept it felt like a girl, I kept telling her, you're okay, you are so loved. Like talking about this is making me a little bit emotional. You are so loved, you are so loved. I love you so much. It's okay, you'll be okay. You'll be okay, you will have a time to live your life. And at one point then it seemed like the other baby that I lost came into the picture, and I saw them laying down, and it was just such an experience. And I think a part of me, I was like tribal, like I was in that area, which I'll go into later on, but I do have a lot of past life in the Amazon in South America, which is why I'm so connected to that space even before going deep into the spiritual world. So that happened. And then all of a sudden, from that, once I've forgiven myself from giving that baby and the baby being okay, it was like that illusion disappeared. And then it brought me to another illusion in like China or Japan. And I was a dancer, like one of those intricate dancers. I'll try to find a picture of what I'm talking about. But I was a dancer and I started dancing and I felt this music, and all of a sudden, I noticed that that person was also connected to someone else from another past life that I was, which makes so much sense because if you guys don't know, I did competitive dance for many years, and dancing makes my soul just expand, and I'm actually getting back into it, which I'm super happy for. But I ended up connecting with this other person in this past life, which was another woman that was trying to make it in New York being a dancer, and she made it and tried to work so hard. She was struggling, but she had power, man. And I got that will from her. Like that part of me got that will from her. So as I started to see myself dancing in this like intricate traditional Chinese or Japanese dancing, and then I also started to see myself, my other self on the other room, dancing ballet in New York, I noticed, what am I learning from this past life? My resilience, my perseverance from my life of this year, going through, you know, the trauma I went through from, you know, having to leave my job, not because of my fault, because people were trying to hush me and take away my power, all of that. So then all of a sudden I felt like this huge yawn come out. It was almost like something came out of me. And I was like releasing, and my jaw was hurting because I was just like releasing all of these things that people told me I couldn't be a dancer in that lifetime, that I couldn't do this and stop talking and all this stuff. And I just released that anger and I danced it out with the music. And once that story left, I felt healed. So to bring you guys back, that's 3 past lives that I experienced through that experience of the shroom experience. And I was like, wow. So then at that period, I don't know how long, but I just started dancing. I felt this unconditional love. It was like all this anger that was built up from those souls were removed, and now I was feeling love, and I was just dancing and feeling great and happy. And I just felt this sense of pleasure. And when I mean pleasure, I know this sounds weird, this like orgasmic pleasure that's just like coming through my body. And when that happened, I was like, whoa, like it was just so like, wow, it was unconditional love. It just felt so amazing. I was like, what's happening right now? But then I just said, surrender, Chica, surrender. So I surrendered to it, and it felt so good. And I just started crying because I was so happy. I was so happy. I was finally free from all of that. And then it brought me back to another lifetime quickly where I also had a miscarriage, but that one connected to me about my ancestral experience and how certain people in my family have also had issues with kids and everything. And that to me just brought so much like honor to them, because that past life was like disconnecting the cord for me, all those who were pained and lost kids, and also those in the future. And that to me felt so good. It felt amazing at that point. When that was done, I had one of the most craziest experience with my guides. I don't know if I shared with you guys before, but one of my guides, I love her so much. She's my great-grandmother, and she visits me all the time. I love her. She's amazing. I feel her presence even talking to you guys right now. And there was a point when I was channeling her, and she used to call me a specific name all the time. And I kept calling myself that for an hour. And I just started bawling because all the pain that my mom went through, that I went through, that all we went through, were just like, she showed us that we went through that pain, but we also came out with so much love from that. And we are fighting for so much for ourselves, but it's time to stop fighting, and it's time to see that love within ourselves, which brought me to my intention, which was my life purpose. My purpose is to share love for people through my channel, through my healing, so they can release ancestrally through the plants, the medicine of plants, the medicine of energy, Reiki, and so many other modalities to connect with themselves on a deep soul level. And she told me that everyone has that side that she saw in me, in themselves. And then that's when I noticed it was like almost like a map of connections to my neighbor, to myself, to my mom, to strangers, that were all in this energy together. And I felt that unconditional love wave again. And that to me just made me feel so good. At that point I was like, wow, this is what it feels like. This is crazy, this energy. Like, this is talking about it is making me like super like somewhat emotional, but also like my gut's like so activated right now when I'm talking to you guys. So then what happens? I kind of have this point where I'm done and I just feel so emotionally exhausted, but then there's a wave of fear. And this brings me to my next story, which I'm just gonna warn you guys, I'm gonna put a video here on my healing story. It was my first Healing with Chica playlist story. And I talked about my trauma that happened. And during that time on the yoga mat when I laid down, I felt like that trauma was happening again. And I felt used. I felt like someone took advantage of me, my body, and it felt so much pain. But I remember I looked over my hand and I was passed out, but my soul was still there. And I kept seeing Shika, it's okay, this is not your fault. It's not your fault. And I curled in a ball and I cried so much, because for so long I felt so ashamed of what happened. I felt like because of that, it was my fault that everything happened. And then I had to go through this healing. I'm still, we're still all going through it, like trauma is something that things come up and we keep releasing and releasing and releasing. And I think at that point I noticed, I finally accepted myself and I said, Shika, you're not dirty. You're not accepted. No one will no longer love you because of this. You have worth, like you are worthy. And then when that was done and I cried and I released, I felt like almost like a cord was cut in my sacral chakra. That was powerful. And at this point, we've hit like 5 past lives. Like, it's crazy. We've hit 5 past lives. So at this point, I'm laying down and I want to just fast forward because this was literally 8 hours long. Just to let you guys know, this whole experience was 8 hours long, so in depth. So maybe I'll have to do a part 2 into this if you guys wanted to, but I'm just gonna hit the main points. So fast forward, I did some eating with my sitter, the person who was with me. And then at the end, I laid in bed. And then that was the part when I learned more about my purpose, but healed. I've forgiven so many parts of my family members for things that happened. I've forgiven my parents. I've forgiven my siblings. I've forgiven my grandmother. I've forgiven all those people that pained me, even those who bullied me when I was a kid. I was laying in bed and I left the room at this point, and I just remember just like talking. And I channeled so much through that time. But there was one person who was a woman from Peru. She was a shaman. And she was there to teach me what I needed to learn from this experience as a healer. And she said, Shika, I'm going to teach you what you need to learn, because this is going to help you be a better light worker, to help you expand people, to help people grow. And you are here to help people grow so much more than you know. This is something that you know since you were a kid. And that connects me with my other healing, which again, if you guys want a video on that, let me know. But it was just a synchronicity at that point. And then there was another woman that was there who was a woman that in her lifetime, she was in a small village. Not a lot of people knew her. She didn't have kids. She lived alone. But she was just so content with her life, even though it was so simple. And she was there to teach me that it's not about getting better and better and better in life. It's about setting intention in the being and just being happy with what you have, even in times of struggle, even in times of pain. And I just saw how simple her life was, but she was the happiest of so many people who were looking outside of themselves for things. So she was there to remind me to look inside a little bit more. And then I had this opportunity to speak with the spirit of my masculine. And that was very powerful. At this point of the wave of the trip, I was connecting with my father and just connecting with him and understanding. I was connecting with my mom and just not consoling her, because I was always there to console. I was connecting her with the purpose of like listening to her. And then I connected with my grandmother, my dad's mom, which there was a lot of things that I didn't know that was in my body from anger, and I forgiven her for that. And then I connected again with my great grandmother, and she was just kind of there holding my hand as I went through this basically therapy session with all of the people that is part of me, my soul, which was half of the room. It was like a crowd in my space, my room. And the other part, which was people that I've forgiven. And then at the end of it, we all came together to love, to bring intention. And it really brought me to a place of completion. And I think that's one of the things why I wanted to share this experience with you guys, because there's so much knowledge in different plants. And I noticed that's something that is in me. But man, the knowledge that we have access to is crazy. And when we were able to tap into the brain in ways that we've never been before, it really teaches us growth. And it's just a reminder that even in uncertain times, even in uncertain days, we are rebirthing ourselves continuously, whether we know it or subconsciously not. And during this experience, it taught me how much I have the control to rebirth myself, to change who I am, whether it's an 8-hour trip, or in my life, whatever it may be, but just to remind me that I have that power, and to not allow myself to not hone into that energy. At the end of this trip, I just felt like I got so much perspective. Oh, and that reminds me, this reminds me, near the end, I actually had like a full flashes of like clips and clips and clips and clips. It looked almost like, you know, those things that you used to have as a camera as a kid and click on it. It was a different picture. If you know what I'm talking about, put a camera emoji down below, but you would see different clips of things. It was like that. It was like click, click, click of pictures, but pictures of the world to come. And I think, you know, that the plant helped me learn that this is the world we live in. This is the world of where it's going. But there are people like yourself and I that are meant to help grow people. And it doesn't mean you have to be a healer, but it means that to just understand where our conscious being is, why we're meant to be in this space, and how we can grow from it. And the moment that we can accept that challenge is the moment that so much of ourselves can be grown. During that time of that shroom trip, I was able to heal over 5 past lives, connect with 4 past life souls again and heal them, and then connect with my guides, know my life purpose, and release subconscious anger, trauma that I didn't even know was still there or was there in the first place. So imagine if someone were able to do that. I just think there's so much knowledge. And I'm really excited because I'm hoping to share more of my experiences with you guys, to give you inspiration, to know that, you know, our world of plants have so much beyond us, that we can heal so many things on a mental, physical, and emotional standpoint. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this story time on my experience on my trip. Let me know if you have any questions or even just your experience on it. I'd love to know in the comment section. And let me know if you guys would like to know more story times, because I would love to share more with you guys if you're open to that. Just more about trips and everything, and like the purpose of it and how they work, and just based on my experience. And so make sure you give this video a thumbs up, like and subscribe, as well as put notification bells. I do 3 or more videos every single week. And I love you guys so much. I hope it inspired you to just learn a little bit more about your healing process and how you can heal. See you guys in the next video. Bye.